John Gibson hits the 500 game mark, but does that mean he's out of here? Who else could be leaving the team? That and more coming up.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome. How are you? Thanks for making Locked On Anaheim Ducks your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Kyle Kjer, and I am so excited to be your new Locked On Anaheim Ducks host. I've been a lifelong fan of the team, and through my career, I've covered multiple collegiate sports, even college hockey, and now I'm here talking to you about this young Ducks squad. But first, I want to let you know today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's right. You heard me correctly. $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So $5, go throw it down tomorrow on the Ducks. Go win some money. Get that $150. So today, just to give you a little rundown, what we're going to talk about. Obviously, we got to discuss Gibson and his 500 games plus career that he's had here for the Ducks. Then we're going to be talking about the insatiable Jackson LaCombe. This guy has been on fire for the team. What a great defenseman we've got in Jackson. And then we're going to get into the trade deadline. Are we selling? Are we buying? What are the Ducks going to do this season? It is all up in the air. But first, let's get into Mr. John 500 Gibson. This guy has been a stellar performer in front of the net for the Anaheim Ducks squad for many years now. He's got outstanding saves in his highlight career. But just looking at this season right now, kind of not the best due to this younger defense in front of him. He's got 9 wins out of 25 games played with a 2.8 goals against average and a .911 save percentage. So shows that he's been making a lot of saves, not letting too many goals in, but he is seeing a ton of shots this season. I think on an average about 30 to 40 shots per game that he's having to face. So he's been putting in the work. That is for sure. He's getting a little up there in the veteran status as a goalie. And it would be really nice to get him into some playoff hockey. And that is why I don't think he's going to be sticking around for this team much longer. He's been kind of in the rumor mill for the last couple seasons, but now he's set the record for the team. He's played the most games for this team. One of the most outstanding American-born goaltenders out there right now. Looking at his overall career, he's at 502 games played, 202 wins out of those 502 games, 24 shootout wins, always great to have. And he's got a 2.89 goals against average, which that is pretty phenomenal for how long of a career this guy's been having, with a .910 save percentage. And you got to think, out of those 502 games, the last 6 seasons or so have been pretty abysmal when it comes to the Ducks records. So the fact that he's putting up 2.89 goals against and a .910 save percentage on average for his career is outstanding for this guy. But again, means he's seeing a lot of shots. This guy, though, I don't know if you've ever seen him in person. I have been very fortunate enough to see a lot of Ducks games at home, and he is one of the coolest, calmest, most outstanding goaltenders back there. I don't think anything could rattle this guy. He will be in the middle of a scrum, just straight lifting dudes' helmets off, throwing the blocker, throwing the glove, getting in on it. But he's just sitting there just like he's zenning out. He's just, pushing, hitting, smirking, doing the whatever. No big deal. Just the coolest guy ever. I've heard rumors that him and Zegras, they go get some cheeseburgers after the game. That was an interview I heard, like just a simple down to earth guy. You know, goalies are always interesting characters, but Gibson, I want to say, is probably the most chill goaltender I've ever seen. Going to a lot of fan fests, he's just awesome. All the kids, all the locals, he treats everyone with respect, does a lot for the community. Just an outstanding citizen of Orange County. But as much as he's treated us well, as much as we've been spoiled having him in net, I think it's time for him to leave. I don't want him to. I really don't. But, you know, it's kind of like being a proud father. You raise your kid. You love having your kid around. You love watching him grow. But at some point, you want to see him succeed. You want to see him get out there and experience the world. And this guy hasn't seen playoffs in years, multiple years. We got to get him in playoff hockey. It's just for the entire sport of the game, USA goaltending, for everything about hockey. This guy needs to unfortunately leave the team. I would love to see him stay. I wish we could have brought some more product here and put a bigger fight as the team, but just wasn't the case. Gibson, we love you, brother. Not because we don't like you, but because we want to succeed. We want to see you have success. And I could definitely see Gibson backstopping a playoff team to victory. This guy, like I said, super cool, super calm and collected. He had Ryan Miller as a back end with him many years, and everyone, Ryan Miller, just one of the greatest American-born goaltenders out there as well. Just a cool guy. He's still in the community. Every once in a while at the rink, his kid plays for the junior Ducks, and just out there being a dad, hockey dad, getting stressed out. But as a goaltender, he was a great icon, great role model for John Gibson. And now Gibson's passing that on to Lukáš Dostál. And Lukáš Dostál, in his 20s, he's been playing really well with the younger crowd. You can kind of see there's a little more spark, it seems like, with the team when Dostál's in net. Not saying that they don't like Gibson, but they seem to step up a little bit more in front of Dostál, protecting the younger guy. So I, again, would love to see Gibson stay around on the team, but we'll talk about a little bit more in the later part of the show on exactly where I see him fitting in for the trades. But someone that needs a goaltender will be very blessed if they can get John Gibson. It's more of what can the Ducks get back in return. So, like I said, we'll talk about that later in the show. But after this, coming up, we are going to be talking about Jackson LaCombe and the firecracker that he is. But I want to talk to you about wonderful pistachios. Get snacking, get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Welcome back. We are, like I said, we have got to dive in to what is Jackson LaCombe. He is the firecracker, the rocket launcher, every explosive thing that you could ever think of. That is what Jackson LaCombe has become for the Anaheim blue line. This kid has been outstanding in front of the net, in front of Gibson, in front of Dostál, and not even at the blue line or on the defense. This guy is scoring. He is bringing the offense to this team. He is on a 5-game point streak, 6 points in those 5 games. It's just been completely the Jackson LaCombe show for the Anaheim Ducks. He's averaging just shy of 20 minutes a game. So actually just looked up his overall average for including this previous seasons is at 21 minutes of ice time. That's penalties, power play in the regular 5-on-5. So 19 to 21 minutes for a young rookie defenseman like this is outstanding. Like, he has definitely brought the fire this year. He's 23 years old. 23 years old, guys. Most defensemen, like, they hit about 25, 26. That's when they really get into their groove of things. This guy's only 23, and he's dominating out there. 30 points total this season. He's one of the few defenseman that's actually +4. I think the only higher defenseman is Gudis with +6. And then we got Zellweger tied with him at +4 as well. Not as many minutes. Zellweger and Michikov kind of been bouncing back and forth. Brian Dumoulin's been taking a lot of those minutes as well from those guys, but we'll talk about that more in the trade deadline talk as well. But yeah, Jackson, this guy, I mean, he joins the rush. He's recognizing that like the last goal that he just scored in the last game on Saturday against the Blackhawks. He recognizes he's joining the rush, takes a look left, look right, realizes he's got to be the F2. He's got Terry wide, puck carrier, I believe is Goche. He's got it right here. He carries it right, crashes the net, right down the middle, hits the slot, gets a stick on the puck as a shot through, and then collects his own rebound and pops it home. Just complete offensive awareness. And then when he's making plays on the assists that he's been getting, just being able to see the seams, being able to see those open lanes, working the power play, takes it from the blue line, keeps his head up, observes, he sees McTavish wide, flings it through, boom, one-timer. Then he's working, he got Zegras on the rush as well, pops it over to Z. Just complete vision, complete recognition of what's going on. And then not only does he have the offensive prowess, you see him back working in the defensive zone. This guy's one of the most active sticks. He's not afraid to get in the corners. He's a physical presence out there, and he's keeping pucks out and protecting his goaltenders. It's been just completely amazing stuff to see. Gotta love having a young rookie like this. I mean, I wasn't expecting him to pop off like this compared to like last year. I mean, he had his moments. He kind of was a little hitchy here and there, and I wasn't really sure what kind of defensive person he would end up being. And boy, was I completely taken by surprise the way this guy rolls. He has been outstanding. I just love watching him play. His speed, his footwork, his stick handling skills. Like, we are so blessed to have this guy on the team. This is one of those guys, like, we lost Cam Fowler. Gotta love Cam. He was a great presence for the Ducks. He's been there forever. One of the few guys that I swear never aged. Like, I thought he was 19 2 years ago, and he's like almost as old as I am. This guy, Jackson, though, he comes in, completely takes over, fills those shoes that Cam Fowler left, and he has been just a presence, an outstanding phenomenon. That's really all I can say. Like, I want to talk about this guy all day, every day, just watching him skate, watching him play, and just watching his confidence grow, and the way he is able to go against these big top these top forwards on other teams, able to shut it down, and then coming up on the power play, working really well with this younger crowd. Definitely going to be a staple. I think I was looking before at like McTavish, Terry kind of being the center fold of the team and like kind of building around those guys. But now I think it might be LaCombe. I think Jackson might be the guy that the Ducks turn and they start to lean on. They're going to look at him for the future. They're going to start expecting him to carry leadership presence. I mean, he's working with Gudis a lot, and I could see him becoming the next captain of the Anaheim Ducks. Like, this guy is it, man. Obviously don't know how his presence is in the locker room, but it seems like everyone loves him. I'm not sure what kind of voice he has at the time, but he seems like one of those guys that isn't afraid to step up, make his voice known, and will absolutely be carrying the team, making sure that they have just a really strong presence and moving forward, building up a better offense, better defense. And we've got the best prospect pool in the NHL. We've had it for the last 3 years, and it's guys like Jackson LaCombe that are going to take us from this kind of up and down, I don't know what we are season, and taking us to the next level. Honestly, we're at this weird place. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it on the social media and Instagram. People are talking, what is the Ducks? We're a few points out of the wild card slot right now. Like, we're kind of in the race, but we're also not. Like, what are we gonna be in the playoffs? Are we gonna be just a lottery team? Like, are we gonna tank the rest of the season? Are we gonna keep winning? What are these Ducks doing? And I think that Jackson LaCombe is that guy that's making it hard to figure out why we playoffs or are we not. He is the guy that has kept us in it. He's the guy that's making us in these hot positions where we might make it into a wild card slot with a whole month and a half left of hockey. If the Ducks keep up and he sets the tone and Jackson LaCombe's leading the charge offensively and defensively, these Ducks might be a playoff team. And it's all because of Jackson LaCombe just carrying this younger squad. Granted, yeah, we've got veterans. We got Strome. We got Vetrano. We got Gudas. But of all those players, Jackson LaCombe, the guy. I feel like he is everywhere. He's on everyone. He's on the network. He's on NHL Network on the radio. He's on LockedOn Anaheim Ducks podcast. He's everywhere filling up the social medias, and he is the guy. Like I said before, just his vision offensively, watch him move the puck, crash the net, joining the rush multiple times. He's able to skate that thing around the net and back up to the blue line. He's looking like the next Cale Makar out there, just completely dominating the Ducks D line and the blue line. It is fantastic. That's all I can say. This guy is a phenom. We're lucky to have him on the team, and he could be the next captain of this Anaheim Ducks squad. Why do I think he's going to be the Anaheim Ducks next captain? Well, we'll talk about it in this next segment. Getting to the trade deadline, there are some rumors a milling. Who's coming? Who's going? We'll talk about that coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Again, FanDuel, $150 off of $5 bet wins. We've got you. Go check out FanDuel today. The Ducks are playing tomorrow, Tuesday. So make sure you hit up FanDuel and pick your money line, pick your player to get a goal, pick anything and everything on FanDuel. $500 or $150 with $5 bet wins. All righty, we're back. And like I told you, we have to talk about the trade deadline. This is one of the craziest trade deadlines approaching for the Anaheim Ducks. As a fan, as a follower, for press, for media, everything around the Anaheim Ducks right now is so convoluted. There are so many directions that this team could go. Pat Verbeek, he's kind of in that Yzerman plan type. I'm not talking, I can't get a read off of him. No one knows really what's going on with this guy. But looking at this team, the last few games, the Ducks are on a little bit of a heater, but then they clunk one out to the Buffalo Sabres. And then they come back, smoke the Vancouver Canucks, who is the team we are chasing for the wild card slot, completely destroy them. And then they lay a goose egg after we celebrate John Gibson's 500 games. This guy's setting the bar for goaltenders in Anaheim, and then we lay an egg in front of him. Just completely lackluster effort. Not a lot of offensive opportunities. LaCombe gets a great goal. Thank goodness for LaCombe. I know we just spent a lot of time talking about him, but I don't know what we'd do without that kid. But then everyone else, it's just kind of like there were some chances, some looks, but it's the little things that break down. Leo Carlson giving up a giveaway to the Blackhawks, which turns into a 2-on-0 rush back, and they score. Donato's on fire, just making a bunch of crazy goals for the Blackhawks. I don't even know if Bedard was on the ice there. That was the one thing that I guess you could say was a positive. Carlson at least was showing up, got a couple of goals plotted. I can't even remember seeing Bedard out there. The only one I could think of out from the Blackhawks was Donato. But beyond that, it's been such an up and down season for the Ducks, especially lately. Like the road trip they went on was terrible. I was honestly like, at that time, I was like, yo, we got to get rid of Cronin. Cronin's done. This guy, he knows nothing. And then they come back, completely have a fantastic homestand. They dominate almost every single team that they played at home. They went on this tear for right before the break. So then we're thinking, oh my gosh, these Ducks, like what happened? Is Cronin actually the most insane, smart coach ever? This guy's like, just took everything we learned on the road trip and turned it around and flipped it on its head. And then all of a sudden, we're laying eggs again. It is the roller coaster of roller coasters right now when it comes to being a fan and following this team. One day you're just super pumped, excited. Oh my gosh, we are on fire. We're chasing down this playoff team. Next day, oh my Lord, we need a tank. We got to sell. We're done. This is it. We're over. Get rid of this freaking team. But I guess who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? Tomorrow, the Ducks could show up and completely destroy the Oilers. Like they've always been kind of that team that like plays to who they play against. Like I feel like for the last few years, even when they were making the playoffs, they were risers. Like they would rise to the occasion. If it was a kind of bottom feeder team, they played bottom feeder style hockey and they would get blown out or lose kind of like a 2-3 game or just like a 6-1 game. Then they go and play these top teams and they dominate. They're blowing them out. They're getting the 5-2 game or a 6-3 game or whatever. Like they end up dominating the greater team. They look like this phenomenal, like, oh my gosh, what are we doing here? This is crazy. These guys are fantastic. And then, nope, turns around, nothing. We got nothing happening. It's like, what do we do? So now we got to get into the trade deadline. Who's coming? Who's going? Because of the performance that we had, I really don't think that we can make it to the playoffs. I want to be that guy. I want to be positive. I want to be all excited and be like, yo, we are doing it. We're going to take the team. The Ducks are going to be a playoff team. You might get blown out in the first round, but they're going to be in the playoffs. But I can't be that guy. We got to sell. We've got too many guys that are ending up on the end of their careers, kind of the end of their contracts. They're getting on age, and this is a perfect time to sell for some assets coming back and maybe possibly get that, we've been drafting for years, but we could get some guys back, I think, that are a little bit more veteran mentality and maybe some draft picks as well. But the guys that I see going out, like I said before, I think Gibby's got to go. He's a Pittsburgh native, so I don't think Pittsburgh's going to be his landing spot, though, with the way their season went. Carolina, possibly Carolina. It's been rumored that they still are on the hunt for a goaltender, even though they've got pretty decent pending going on. And I'm sure you've all heard of the Rantanen rumors. Elliot Friedman kind of teased last week that Anaheim could be a landing spot for him, depending on what Pat brought up. And we got Gibson that we could give. We've got Dumoulin. They need some back end. We've got Trevor Zegras. I know it's been talked about. There's been ups and downs. Is Zegras coming? Is Zegras staying? Is Zegras getting out of here? He has been the hot ticket item when it comes to the trade deadline rumors for the last at least 2 seasons. And I could really see him going. I think he needs a change in pace. It was fun to watch when he started. It was really cool. It's flashy. He really took over the kind of the Instagram scene. But I just don't think that's what we need to build a good, strong playoff team. He needs to go to somewhere that's already strong and has assets and pieces in front of him that he can learn. And he's a skilled guy. He's a great playmaker. He's got great hands. Like there's things that he does that are phenomenal, but I just don't see him as a Cronin / Verbeek player. Like, I think they've given him the chance. He had the injury. He came back, and he said he's been working on his 200-foot game, but I'm just not seeing it. Not the way that we expected, I think, as fans. I think after watching him at BU, like the way he was lighting up college hockey, it did not translate well to the NHL. And it's not nothing against him. I just think the team was not what he needed, and he's not what the team needed. And Carolina's one of those teams. You got Aho, you got great players out there that can really help kind of show him the basics. And Rob Brindamore, obviously, he's going to lock him down. So for his structure, his growth, I could see Carolina being a good spot for Trevor Zegras. And then Rantanen coming back. Everyone's like, what? Rantanen, like how? Like, why would he come to Anaheim? Think about it. This guy in Colorado, he had Nathan MacKinnon with him. But Nathan MacKinnon is the dog, you know? Then before Landon got hurt, it was MacKinnon and Landeskog. Rantanen was kind of like that third wheel of those two. If he comes to Anaheim, he gets to be the dog himself. He gets to be that guy. He gets to help these younger guys like Troy Terry, who's a Denver native. So, I mean, there's going to be some connection there. You got Mason McTavish, who's a big guy, younger guy, but skilled, kind of the same play style as Rantanen. I could see him being a great mentor for Mason McTavish. LaCombe on D. You got Gudas in here. Gudas might be going out. That's the only issue. That's why I brought up LaCombe might be becoming the new captain of the team, because Gudas is also one of those guys at the end of his career. He's at the end of it, not his career, the end of his contract, sorry. I don't think he should be at the end of his career. He's still got some play in him. But the pedigree that Gudas brings, it was wonderful having him as a captain. Loved having his spirit and his energy out here in Anaheim. But he's also one of those guys that I think he's got to be in the playoffs. Like, he needs to be helping out a team that has that opportunity. He's such a fantastic player. He's just got the big Gudas hip checks, the Gudas picks. Like, he's a solid defense. I could see him heading out. Next guy that I see heading out, Brian Dumoulin as well. Like, we've got this young D line coming up with Minchikov, Zellweger, LaCombe. Then there's Harkin. We got other guys that are coming up as well. I see Dumoulin. He's one of those guys. He's definitely got that pedigree that could be taken off to a playoff team, maybe even just as a rental. A little pause there. Verbeek, the way like his and the way he's been kind of building, it seems like this was all part of the plan since the beginning of bringing these guys in. He brings in some chiseled vets. He helps these chiseled vets help our young guys get accustomed and get some good habits. And now it's time for them to go and let the young guys take over. People I don't see going that I've seen kind of rumored, Ryan Strome. I don't think he's leaving. And Vetrano have kind of become the new Getzy and Perry combo for the Ducks. I see them hanging out. It seems like they really like Anaheim. They like being around the team. They like playing here. So those are the guys that I do not see leaving the team. So we're going to talk about it more. We got the squad show coming up for the LockedOn NHL channel. We're going to be talking all trade rumors, all deadline information. So make sure you tune into that as well. And thank you for making LockedOn Anaheim Ducks your first listen today. For your second listen, check out that LockedOn NHL podcast. Like I said, we're going to be talking about all trade deadline rumors and everything trade deadline, bringing you the daily league-wide stories that matter with the local coverage you love from Locked On. Find Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts.